Thank you. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Indeed. Okay. Thanks for being here tonight. My name's Chris Wise. I live in Knoxville. We're going to talk about electric co-ops, and I think you all are associated with an electric co-op in some fashion, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, you're part of it. Okay. So the discussion is just an open discussion. I've got some questions to ask. You're going to say things that will prompt me to ask them some other questions, and you can ask questions of each other. I'll just help keep it under control so it doesn't sound like a party. If while we're together, you need to go to the bathroom or do something, go do that and come back and join us. As we go through, because the format is what it is, I'm going to probably call on you by name most of the time to respond. You're not going to have to respond to every single question, but I'll get you to talk as much as possible. There are no, don't think I'm looking for any specific answers. What I'm interested in tonight are most especially your opinions and feelings about what we're going to talk about. So talk one at a time and talk about as loud as I'm talking now, so I'll hear you. I don't take notes, so everything's being recorded, so I can go back. We're doing 4 of these, actually 5 of these. So it's important I can hear what you all say. So that's about it. So if you would, and I don't sell anything. I just talk to people. I get people's opinions. That's my fun job. So if you would, I'm going to ask you to go around and just introduce yourself to us. And I'll just call you. Tell us your name, your real honest to goodness age, where you live, because you're all from different parts of the state, how many people are in your home, and what's the name of your electric co-op. Tammy, would you begin? I'll do it again. Name, age, where do you live, number of people in home, and your electric co-op.
I'm Tammy Hollis. I live in Santa Fe, Tennessee, which is just north of Columbia. We are in Duck River Electric Co-op. Dear husband and I live here with our 2 Great Pyrenees, an old cat, a lot of hens, and a bunch of Tennessee fainting goats.
How old are you?
I'm 61 years old.
Okay, thanks. Jennifer?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Jennifer. I live in Tennessee Ridge, Tennessee, obviously. I have 5 people that live in my house, me, myself, and my 3 kids. I am 32, and I go through MLEC here in the Ridge.
Thank you. Karen?
Hi, I'm Karen Maxwell. I'm 64. I live in Cookeville, Tennessee. It's just my husband and I here. And I'm with the Upper Cumberland Electric Membership Corporation.
Okay. Paul? Hang on a second. Okay.
It seems like it's quiet down. My name is Paul Engel. Live in Unionville, Tennessee, with 3 of us in the house. And what else is there? Was you wanted?
Hang on a second, Paul. Michelle, you there?
Yeah,
I'm here.
Trying to figure out, I think it's Paul that we're hearing an echo on. No. It looks like it's Lenny. Let me remove him. Y'all can go.
Paul, go ahead. Try again.
Okay, my name is Paul Engel, 55 years old, live in Unionville, Tennessee. There are 3 of us in this house.
Okay. Ooh, okay. How old are you, Paul?
55.
55. And what's your co-op?
Duck River.
Duck River, thank you. David?
My name is David. I live in Bean Station, Tennessee. That's out east of Knoxville ways. There's two of us in the house, and our co-op is Appalachia Electric. I'm 33.
Okay, thanks. Jeffrey.
My name's Jeffrey Egan. I'm 65. We live in Pikeville, Tennessee. There's two of us in the house, my wife and I, and we are members of the Sequatchie Valley Electric Co-op.
Great. Michelle, I don't know if you heard what the question is. So tell us your name, your age, where do you live, number of people in your home, and what co-op?
Okay. My name is Michelle Bird. I'm 40. I live in Friendsville, Tennessee. There are 3 of us in the home, and we use Fort Loudon Electric.
Okay, thanks. Quickly, just want to know how long you've been receiving power from your how long you've been with your current co-op. Michelle?
We have been with them just shy of a year, so 10 months, actually.
Okay. Jeffrey?
We've been here 2.5 years, and we've always had service from them.
Okay. David?
Oh, grew up here, so all my life. So we've had Appalachia at this house for over 30 years.
Okay. Paul?
Since we moved here, so about 4.5 years ago.
Okay. Karen?
Since 1980, so several years.
Several years. Jennifer?
Yeah.
I believe it's been about 7 or 8 years now.
Okay. And Tammy?
4.5 years.
Okay, great. Describe your relationship to your co-op. That is, are you a customer? Are you a member, owner of the co-op? What is your relationship? Anybody want to just raise a hand if you want to talk? Go ahead, Jeffrey.
Well, we're customers, and technically we own it. We're members of it. And I find them very easy to work with, and they're very accommodating. And they basically, I ask them to do something, they're pretty prompt about doing it.
Okay. David?
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like I'm a customer of the co-op. I suppose how co-ops work, there's some sort of a membership, but, I kind of feel like a customer, and I've always been happy with the service and haven't had any real major complaints at all.
Okay. So you said you suppose you're a member, but you consider yourself a customer. Help me understand the difference.
It's not really something I've ever given much thought to. It's an essential, electricity is an essential thing. And, there's not really any choice involved. So you pick, around here anyway, you pick whoever, well, you don't really pick. You just call the electric company and sign up. I know I get emails and things from time to time informing me about, meetings that are open to the public and things like that. But it's not really anything I ever pay much attention to. So I kind of feel, like a customer that pays for a service.
Okay. Bear with me a second.
Mm-hmm.
But still trying to understand the difference between customer and member. I mean, you said you're both, and I understand where you secure it from, but what's the different understanding between member and customer?
Here's what I found.
I guess, participation of some sort, because, and maybe it's not through any fault of Appalachia or anything like that. It's like, I don't feel bad that I feel like a customer, but I feel like, a membership, you participate somehow in something. And I've never really participated in the electric company at all. I've never gone to any of the meetings that I've been notified about. I guess that's how I make the distinction is, participation. And I don't really participate in anything. It's not because I've never been invited, like I say, because I get mailers about meetings that are open to the community. Does that answer your question?
Sure. Tammy, do you want to chime in?
Well, just that it is a representative group. We will vote for the members of the particular board, but do we know them? Do they do anything? I call them when my power is out. And they fix it, and that's it.
So do you view yourself as a customer or a member or an owner?
A customer, absolutely a customer.
Customer. Anybody else? Jennifer, you were going to say something.
No, I was just kind of giggling because I definitely can agree with Tammy here about feeling like a customer. I know in certain fashions, I have been referred to as a member, but on more of a real level, I feel more like a customer. I mean, we have to have them. We pay for services. So I see it more on a customer level.
Okay. What does an electric co-op mean to the community? Anything? Anyone?
Well, I have, if I were to compare it to something, I would compare it to, say, the cable or the telephone company, because those these days are also pretty essential utilities in the home. And I tend to have a little bit more respect for an electric co-op than I do, say, the cable company, because I do feel like they make decisions that are more for the good of the community rather than the bottom line profit like a cable or a telephone company would be. For example, they're installing fiber internet. The electric company is partnering with another local electric company to install fiber internet in the rural areas around here. So they're spending quite a lot of money to improve our infrastructure, where the cable and telephone company around here, they try their darndest to not spend a dime if they can help it on the community.
Okay. Karen?
Yes. I'm like a lot of the other in the group. You know, I feel myself as a customer, and I just look at it as a service that I'm buying. I hadn't really thought about what the co-op means to me or the community. I do like, I am aware of their program where we round off our bill, and I think that money is put into a fund to help with electric bills and for elderly or people who might have trouble paying those bills. And I like that service that they do.
Okay. I'm thinking, sorry. Do you like the way it is? Would you rather prefer, go ahead, Tammy, what were you going to say?
Because it is a co-op, it is a more affordable product. We're not dealing with a for-profit company. My number one son lives in New York City. He has Con Edison. Con Ed is a for-profit power company. Because if this is a co-op, then it is going to be a lower priced, or ideally should be a lower priced product. And it is, especially compared to what he pays.
Sure. Okay. Michelle?
To answer one of your other questions a moment ago, I am strictly a customer. The way that my account is set up with Fort Loudoun Electric, it is customer, end of story. There's not anything inviting us to meetings or anything along those lines. As far as our definition of co-op, we come from Georgia Power. So the two are completely different. Georgia Power's got a big, huge headquarters, and then, you know, there's all these little substations, and your power bill is what your power bill is, and you move on. Dealing with Fort Loudoun Electric, I know that there is one place I go into. I know all the young ladies that work in there. It's a much more down-home, person-to-person relationship instead of a big corporation, most definitely.
Is it a greater sense of community and a caring entity?
Most definitely. Most of the people that you have that are on board of directors are those that are in your community. Real, as I call it, real human beings that you know who they are. You can talk to them. They live in the same community, so they have the same interest that you do as far as how the company should be run.
Okay. Talk to me. Just take me a little deeper, all of you, into your relationship with your co-op. Whenever you hear your co-op's name, I'd love to know the first thing that comes to your mind. Tammy?
Oh, golly. Duck River. The Duck River. That's just, I mean,
Okay. Jennifer?
The first thing that comes to mind actually is the involvement that our co-op has in the schools. There's different programs and contests and different things that they have within the schools here. And so honestly, that's the first thing I think of because I have kids and they're so actively involved with the kids.
Is that a positive thing that comes to mind?
Yes.
Okay. David?
Oh, gosh, I think about effort. Like, I live in a rural area, and I'm surrounded by pretty large rural areas, and the Appalachia service is a pretty big, they've got a pretty big service area, and, I always see the crew out working on the lines, and just, I think about all that's involved in keeping the infrastructure running, and it's a lot of work, and I kind of respect what a good job they do. It's not easy to service out in the country.
Okay. Paul?
They're the electric company. I'm just a customer. I have to say their prices are fair. I come from upstate New York, so the prices here are much nicer than the prices up there. And for the most part, their service is good. When we do have power outages, which happen during storms, they restore power in what I would find a reasonable amount of time. So, to me, they're just a power company.
Just a power company. So when you hear the name, you think power company.
Power company. I think they do a good job. I don't have anything really to complain about them, but they're just a power company.
Okay. Karen? Comes to mind.
That's kind of my feelings on it. When I hear the Upper Cumberland Electric Membership Corporation, I think, electricity, and did I pay my bill on time?
Michelle?
When you asked the question, the very first word that I thought of was efficient. And that's Fort Loudon Electric. From the girls in the office to people when you call and have a question on the phone, the ease of the application, and the guys that are out in the field. Everybody from one end of it to the other, if you have a question, if you touch base with them, they are efficient. They are on it.
Okay. And Jeffrey?
Basically what Michelle said, I think about the people. Everybody from you go walk in downtown and, the ladies behind the desk, and if you need to talk to the foreman, they find you somebody, and, the crew's out doing the work. I come from a background in New England with a rather large power company called National Grid, and it's referred to by people that actually work for them as National Greed. And your electric bill is about 5 pages long, and they send you to a call center in Iowa, and they'll tell you that they can't possibly be out, or your electric isn't out because it doesn't show on their computer, and you're standing there in the dark. Somehow, I just don't think that's going to be a problem with Sequatchie Valley. They know right where the house is, right where it's fed, and they're just on it, as Michelle said.
Great. Do you have absolute faith and trust that your co-op will provide all you expect now and in the future? Jennifer?
Yeah, absolutely. The people that work within the company are very, they're always heartfelt. If somebody in the community is without, then they're on it because they know it could be them. And so I always have faith in them and know that they will be there.
Okay. Karen?
Oh, with the storms and the rain and severe weather that we've had the last couple of days, I experienced some power outages or several times, I guess, during the last month. I know a lot of people that work in the power company. I know a lot of the linemen who are out there doing that work. And, I have to agree with what Michelle said earlier. It is a very efficient and very dependable company. I appreciate the work that they do. And I kind of lost track of the question.
Thank you for being honest. It was, do you have absolute faith and trust in your co-op to provide all you expect now and in the future? So.
Thank you for repeating that for me. But I guess the reason I brought up, some of the power outages is because I do have trust in them, to be able to fix this. And I really never had any problems other than just the power outages, and they've always been on it. And I do have faith in them that they'll be able to take care of my needs now and in the future.
Good deal. Jeffrey?
I have no qualms that Sequatchie Valley will be able to take care of things. Things I worry about are, some regulator in Washington saying that you can't buy power from this one, or you have to do this, or TVA saying, you have to have the smart meters, and those don't do as well in the lightning as the old ones, and those kinds of things. And the problem with a small co-op is that, they don't have the juice, if you'll excuse the pun, to say, no, we don't want to do it that way. That doesn't make sense for us, when some regulation comes down. That's what concerns me.
Okay. If your co-op could do one thing and do it right this instant to strengthen their relationship or your relationship with them, what should they do? Paul?
I don't know. I kind of like the idea of running internet fiber. I run a home office. I could really use some better internet access.
Okay.
But I have no complaints about what they do. If there's anything I might like is, their web app could be a little better, but it's functional. When I need it, I can report an outage. I can check the status of the outages. I expect them to provide power. They provide power. I expect them to deal with outages. They deal with outages. What more do you want from an electric company?
To let the cable companies run a line out on their power poles for those of us out in the sticks. I mean, we need broadband cable, and we don't have it.
Yeah, and I've dealt with this for decades. I've been in the IT business for 30 years. The town I used to live in, I was working with the town on internet access, and the biggest problem is the regulations on using the poles. So as I said, if the phone company won't do it, the power company can do it because they have access to the poles. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great business model for them. And if they offer, put it this way, if Duck River, I'm with United.net for communications. I've been on their list for 2 years to get fiber. If Duck River called me tomorrow and said, we're going to offer fiber in your area on this date, I would sign up immediately.
Yes.
David, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to say, Tammy, I think it was mentioned that the cable company out there isn't allowed to run their lines on the electric poles. So that's something I really respect about my co-op is I feel like they make good decisions for the community because the cable and telephone companies use Appalachia's poles to provide service. And on top of that, Appalachia, as I mentioned earlier, is putting in a lot of effort to upgrade their infrastructure to get fiber internet to these rural areas that in most cases don't even have access to DSL. I know people that have to use satellite internet, and this time next year, they'll have some of the fastest internet in the country because of our co-op.
Well, we have no cable out here. I believe cable runs to the high school. That's a few miles over, straight down that road, but there is no cable. You have a dish or you have nothing. We use a hotspot. We use a
Mhm.
hotspot for our internet, and it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm really glad they're investing in fiber because, I mean, that's going to be, I feel like 10 years from now, cable and internet lines probably won't even be a thing in a lot of metropolitan areas because of fiber.
Any other ideas besides the fiber of what they could do to strengthen your relationship with them? Do it right now. Jennifer, anything?
I'm kind of the biggest thing, like you've already stated, and Mr. Paul brought up, is the internet thing. I know that it's been brought up in my area, and I've actually been questioned about it by MLEC. And I know it's a possibility, but other than that, I mean, relationship-wise, I can't complain at all.
Okay. I'm going to move on to another section. So I think, I don't remember if it was Paul or Jeffrey hit on it. I'd like to know what is it you expect of your electric co-op today? I mean, take me into just everything that they do or that you expect from them. I've heard words like efficient, cost, anything else? Anybody? I'll name some things and you can nod your head if you think.
They're the electric company. I want electricity from them.
I got it.
If like any business, right? We trade. They sell me electricity in exchange for money. If it's a fair price, I'm happy. On the occasions when I have to interact with them, if they are polite and courteous and understand customer service, that's all I ask. I have not had. I think the only time I've actually talked to somebody at Duck River was I called them up to have the power bill switched to my name when I bought the farm here. Pun not intended. And when they swapped the meter to one that they can read from the office, they were polite enough to ask before they did it. That in 4.5 years, I've only had to interact with people twice.
That's interesting that they asked, because I got a letter informing me that we were getting a smart meter. When I questioned whether we could opt out for a $25 every single month fee to opt out of the smart meter. So they were more polite to you.
I remember them talking about the meter, but when the guy actually showed up to do the swap, he didn't just swap the meter. He came in and said, are you okay with this? Do you want to opt out? It was actually a human being in a truck. And said the power's going to be out for about 2 minutes while I swap this out and you'll be fine.
Okay. I'm going to name some things and just chime in if you want. So the first thing I had to see, rates. We've kind of already talked about that. Rates, reliability, then expectation from your company, your co-op. Yeah, probably, right?
Yeah.
You can shake your head, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Communication from them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Convenience. I'm not sure what I mean by that, but convenience. Okay. Service. Reliable service. Yeah, we went into that. All right. How about political engagement? That they're involved in political process. If you're a member of that co-op, and there's any political issues that may involve service or anything.
Outside of major environmental concerns, I think anybody that produces electricity should consider the impact. But outside of that, I would rather they didn't have an opinion on any other political issues.
I guess as I've thought about that, it wasn't necessarily being political in terms of siding with people in a race or taking a stand for or against a politician, but dealing with so if someone has to go to city council or to the county to work through issues that impact how service is delivered to you, or things of that nature. Where so political, I'm using the terms political and more as it relates to working through other government entities, or do they just become passive and take whatever comes to them from those other government entities? And I'll just leave it at that. Otherwise, I'm going to get a bias in there. So,
well, I feel like if they want to move forward on a project to improve their infrastructure, if they hit a political roadblock, say in the county or the city, I feel like I would want them to, fight to be able to move forward. We've had issues with the telephone company with an illegal type of franchise agreement with the county several years ago, and we couldn't get broadband internet for a long time because the telephone company had an agreement with the county, and I would want the electric company to fight to improve their infrastructure if they were getting blocked in that fashion.
okay, I'll move on to some others. I have governance, and that's just the way it's run. As you as owners have oversight, members have oversight, but do you care about that? Nope, no cares.
Well, to a certain extent, yes. Again, to me, I'm their customer. I've never dealt with anything other than purchasing electricity from them. If it's a membership corporation, if the members are involved, then the members should be responsible for the oversight and governance of the company. If they don't, then where's the check on the company doing something, either if not outright illegal, just board.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like, it's not something I feel like I've ever had to think about, because I think our rates are reasonable. They tend to do a good job, so it's not something I think about. But I mean, if my electric bill was always way too high because whoever we elected, onto the board, or somebody was getting a big fat paycheck just because of some shady deals inside of the co-op, I guess I would be concerned about that. But I don't think I've ever felt like I needed to be concerned about the internal government.
Okay. How about environmental stewardship? Jeffrey, Michelle?
Well, as David mentioned, I think that there needs to be some balance between on the producer side, but my co-op doesn't produce electricity. It just delivers electricity. And I'd like to think that they have some input into how that electricity is generated. I think on the local level, things like spraying herbicides and how they treat their rights of way and things like that is more important, and they actually have some influence on that. But I do think that generally they tend to be involved, and you see them in the checkout line at the grocery store. The employees, some of the management, and I think that since they are involved, they do tend to be better stewards than a corporate entity that's just worried about delivering for the stockholders. We're the stockholders, so they deliver for us. And I think that takes a very different approach to the way they look at everything.
Good deal. Michelle, any thoughts?
And here's the thing, I really, in questions like this, I wish that I had some kind of quarrel with Fort Loudoun Electric, but quite honestly, they are the one that I wish other companies could set their standards to meet what Fort Loudoun Electric is. I literally moved, and I can only speak to Fort Loudoun Electric right now in this conversation, but I moved from a few towns over and specifically made sure that I found a residence outside of this one particular power company's area because of the way that their structure was. And Fort Loudoun Electric, they can't do anything any better for me right now. I mean, from one end to the other, everything is structured reasonably. It's not something where everything is this big red tape that I have to go through for literally everything. It's all structured very well.
Was your former provider a co-op or no?
Not in the name, no, but they had a local board of directors, and I believe they are I believe they are in the little bundle, but it's they didn't list themselves as a co-op in the name.
That's what you're talking about. Not LCUB, is it? Anyway.
Oh, wow.
Ooh. Anyway, we'll go on. Okay. If your co-op had an extra dollar to spend, how would you like to see that money invested? I'll see if you have any thoughts first, then I've got a list too to ask you about.
Solar power, encouraging us and making it available, so that God gives us the sun for free. It's foolish not to use it. I mean, I've got solar electric fences all around for my critters. So I want them on my house. I want the panels on my house. I would love for that to be more favorable and more mainstream out in the rural areas.
Okay. Other ideas?
I would like to see them invest it back into the company. If they've got an extra few dollars, I know what those guys and ladies have to go through, especially the ones in the field, engineers, the whole nine. Invest it back in them. The building that Fort Loudoun Electric houses the customer service department in is a little outdated. Bless the ladies that work in there. They've got cool AC, but there could stand to be a few upgrades to make it a little more efficient for them. Not so much for us, the customer, because we don't get to see any of the back office stuff, but just things to make it a little more efficient for them and make their days a little easier.
Okay. I'm going to name some things, and I'm going to ask you to score it from 1 to 5 of with 1 being something not at all, don't spend the money there, 5 being, yeah, go for it. And just raise your hand with the number when I ask you. So the first one I have on my list is, and it came up earlier, I think, from Jennifer, educating young people to be community leaders. 1 through 5. 5, 4, 4, 2, 1, 3, 5. Got it. All over the place. Got it. Investing in technology for improving convenience, efficiency, et cetera. So investing in technology. 5. Okay. How about improving reliability?
Yeah.
Got it. Lowering your bill. Say 10. That's
Totally.
How about investing in the community? And by that, I mean helping with job creation, economic development, helping attract new business to the area, because the electric provider plays a key role in that. 5, 5, 5, 4, 2, 3, 4. How about, we've already touched on this, but expanding services, and I have solar and broadband. 5, 5, 5, 1, 3, 4. You can't give me 10, Jennifer. Okay, so all over the board. So I'm just going to ask, if somebody whoever gave a low score, tell me why, and a high score, tell me why. Educating young people to be community leaders. So somebody gave that a 1. I don't know. David, I think you gave it a 1. Tell me.
Well, I feel like it's a good thing to do. Every business, every company should do that sort of thing to an extent. It's not really a priority of mine for the electric company to be involved that way. I would much prefer they spent the money on reliability and technology than, spend a little bit of money. Yeah, it doesn't hurt my feelings if they spend a little bit of money and time on it, but in the list of priorities, it's pretty low.
Okay. Jennifer, I think you gave it a 5. Would that be true?
Yes. And my reason behind that is here in our community where our kids are, they actually do different programs where they teach the kids. And these kids are eventually going to be our people that are going to expand and going to bring in the things that we need that we haven't necessarily gotten or moved into the new generation so to speak, where everywhere else has. So I think it's as important to invest in them and teaching them and starting young as it is to invest in, say, someone who is older, so to speak, someone who's grown.
Okay. I think you also said 5 or close to investing in technology. Aside from the obvious, is there anything else anyone wants to add to my understanding of why you rated that highly? Or did anyone not rate it highly? Anyone rate that a 3? No.
I rated it pretty high. I think smart meters are a great idea. It saves money in the long run. And I feel like I would imagine they're more accurate. I don't have any data to back that up. I imagine they're more accurate. But, you don't have to have a meter reader come out all the time. And while that, maybe eliminates a job, so to speak, but you could repurpose that same person and plenty of other, there's plenty of work to be done when you're talking about electricity. So, that's a great thing. Quality, when I think of technology, I think of the quality of the actual lines that are on the poles, and then also I feel like broadband is a technology thing. And as I've said several times already, that's very important. I think in the future, for the future is municipal broadband.
Okay.
I'd say when I'm thinking about technology, yes, the stuff we've talked about, the smart meters. I look at their online presence, the web app, their mobile apps. What can be done to make either more efficient or better customer service as part of it, but also what technologies can they bring to bear to improve what they can provide? Broadband, including broadband with your power, to me is a technology jump. They're gonna expand from just being a power company to a power company in an ISP. That involves an investment in technology to do that and do that well and efficiently. What other things can they do with their infrastructure that we just haven't thought of? That takes time and effort to come up with ideas.
Okay, great.
And I would just comment, to me, they're the power company. They're not the people to educate or train the next generation, except in how to deliver power and do so with good customer service. I think when we ask them to train leaders in a skill that they aren't qualified in, I don't think that's an efficient use of resources.
Okay.
I'll say while I gave that the leadership, the training young people thing a 1, where I do think it's a great idea is working at the electric company is a great job, and there are some really good skills and good jobs to have, and so I think things like job fairs at high schools and things like that. That's when we're talking about the community and young people and leadership thing, I think providing good jobs to young people to help them get a good start in life is actually a good thing.
Yes.
But I still wouldn't prioritize that over reliability and technology, though.
Exactly. And that's a wonderful idea, because how do I need to be educated if I want to go into this type of industry? And I have no idea. I wasn't interested in that industry, but how? And so yes, a job fair at a high school, that makes a lot more sense. That would be just good customer relations.
Okay, I'm going to shift to a different thinking about how the co-op communicates with you. So and there are different ways they probably communicate with you now. How do you prefer to receive communication? Doesn't have to be a single method. So what are the methods? Michelle?
I don't even get a bill. I literally only get a text message from Fort Loudon Electric I have mine structured just because I am away for long periods of time. I have mine structured where I can throw $100, $200 a month and essentially bill against it. I don't get a bill every month. So if I forget, my Fort Loudoun Electric sends me a text message and lets me know that my balance has reached the limit that I set up, and I go online and I shoot them some more money, and everybody's happy, and I don't hear from them again for another few months.
Okay, so texting is fine. And is it any different, no matter what the communication is? Besides the bill, I would imagine that they communicate well about outages, if that's something, or if outages have been resolved, or just general information about energy use or some other things. And
I wouldn't mind receiving a like an automated message. If there's a report of an outage in my area and they have an estimated time that, you know, they'll have the service back up and running, I think that might be a clever idea, to receive a text message that says, hey, we think the service in your area may be interrupted, and, you know, we think we'll have it back up in another 2 hours. We know that you need us. You know, that's a great thing, because, you know, all my life we've always called in and said, hey, we've got an outage, and the lady on the other end of the line says, we're aware of it, and we think it'll be fixed. But I always kind of wonder, it's like, gosh, do they know we don't have power right now? Do we need to call? You know, has the neighbor called? So if there was like an automated system that sent me a message that said, you know, we're working on it, I think that would be pretty cool. And I do like getting my bill over email instead of in the mail. I do paperless billing. I like that they send me an email that says, hey, your bill's going to be this. And, you know, I say, oh, well, good to know. But I think the text message about outages would be a great thing, and I don't think we have that in my area.
so I heard text messaging, email. I didn't hear any other form of communication. Is that fair?
I don't really want to receive a phone call, and I don't. I try to not do paper mail as much as I can with everything.
Okay. Who said yeah? Michelle? Karen? I couldn't figure out.
Me.
Me?
We actually use Facebook we have a Facebook group that MLEC does here, along with another company, and they actually update it regularly, and we can just pull it up on our phone, and it will send automated messages to us to update us on outages, when it'll be back, if there's something down in a certain area. So that's really nice.
Okay.
If I can comment on that, if I were to vote on whether or not to use social media to communicate, I'd probably vote against, because especially with a lot of the controversy with social media these days, if I were going to communicate via social media, they would need to communicate via all the major platforms and not just Facebook or just Twitter. So if they weren't going to, so that way there would be some element of choice involved.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah. I just would not want to only be able to say receive it via Facebook instead of a text message, right?
Okay. Jeffrey, how about you? How would you want to be communicated with?
Well, we get our official paper bill, and they also send us a link to an email to a web page where I can view said bill. I do not text. I am not a member of Facebook, Twitter, or any of the other social media. I do not need them to tell me that I have no lights. I'm pretty much aware that, you know, they're going to notice the customer's gone. They're in the business of selling electricity. All of a sudden, they're not selling electricity. And so they're pretty good about, you know, getting on it, because you can hear them on the scanner and when they start to roll the trucks and stuff. And quite honestly, the way things are around here in my current lifestyle, the lights are out. So don't open the freezer for a little while. And you can pretty much bet that they're on it. The critical things, the cow fences, the chicken fences, they're all backed up on batteries. My wife's Wi-Fi is backed up on batteries, so she can still use her little tablet, so I don't have to hear about that. And when they come back, they come back.
I thought I was the only one that did that.
No, I do too.
Oh, no. We wake up in the middle of the night because the UPS is beeping. So it's okay, go turn off the UPS, go back to sleep. It's the middle of the night, the lights went out, who cares? But I'll admit we're outliers. We don't get too worried about it. And again, I have great faith that they know what's going on in their system and that they'll restore it just as soon as they possibly can. And there's nothing that I'm going to do that's going to help them in any way.
Yeah.
We still receive also a week to the deal. Remember, your bill is due. I like that. And now I'm saying your internet connection is unsafe. That's
I mean, you're breaking up on us. I really didn't catch anything you just said. Want to try again?
well, I said my internet connection is unstable. Also, get a week before the bill is due, I get an email that tells me the bill is due in 1 week, and I appreciate that.
I got you. Okay, I'm just name some things and just raise your hand if you're interested and would pay attention to these things from your co-op. So depending, and this isn't how you'd like to receive it, but if it's information you would like to receive. So information on outages. So we talk texting. Outage, just raise your hand if it's something you want to receive information. Safety. Safety.
What do you mean by safety? Is there a serial killer in the area, or is there a tornado coming? I mean,
The safety as it relates to the delivery of power, or just tips or information about safe use of electricity, et cetera.
No.
No, okay. How about policy and regulatory issues?
I guess if it were going to affect my bill in a negative or a positive way, I would want to know that information if it were going to affect me financially, especially.
Okay. How about information on how to save money on your use of electricity?
Nah, I feel
Yeah.
like that's a waste of effort.
Okay.
Do you know that they actually did that for a while where I live? And do you know how many people actually paid attention to that? Honestly,
I don't.
nobody. Yeah,
Nope.
the program went down the drain.
Okay. Just asking. I'm just asking. Any governance or authority issues with the co-op? Maybe. Okay. Got it. And then any information about the election for the co-op?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's co-op, so I guess it's a good thing to know.
Okay. Are you familiar with the Tennessee Magazine?
Yes.
Okay. So you all received that?
Yep.
I don't know anything about that.
and last month, a bunch of friends were telling me that Santa Fe was highlighted in the Tennessee Magazine, and that was not actually Santa Fe. That was a little store down the road, but that was not. Santa Fe is so wonderful, we don't even have a four-way stop. So that was not the true Santa Fe. So come on, Santa Fe.
So is the magazine something you all read and appreciate, except for David?
My wife reads it. I don't.
I actually kind of like it.
My husband does.
Okay. So, and you know that it comes from your co-op?
Yes.
Yes.
No, I did not know that, but I know it now. I can tell him. He'll be excited.
Okay. The next question is probably something you all know, but your co-op purchases power from TVA. To what degree do you care if your co-op purchases power from TVA or a different provider, or does it matter to you at all?
It's about
Tammy?
cost.
As
TVA,
long as- yeah.
as a government entity, TVA should be less expensive. So that would to me, and it's local-ish. So it should be a better buy.
Yeah, again, I think they should be doing it based on financials and reliability. You know, it's a business decision. Where are they getting the product to resell?
So you only care, what I'm hearing so far is you only care as it relates to making sure it's just the lowest cost. Is that what I just heard?
Cost and reliability. It doesn't, you know, if it's half the price, but the power goes down every other day, that doesn't do me any good.
Right.
Anybody
Yeah,
else?
we had talked earlier about supporting, solar and some alternate and renewables and things. If they're forced to buy from TVA, then they do not have the option to go buy from a wind farm someplace or one of the solar farms out in Arizona. And granted, it comes at a higher price point, but some people are willing to pay the higher price point, to support that stuff. And so I think that they should be able to buy it, and you should have the option to tell your co-op of where you would like your power sourced from.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Jeffrey. I think there should be a degree of freedom. I don't want them to sign some sort of an agreement with TVA that we can't, vote differently if we didn't like something that was going on with TVA, whether it's cost or whether it was environmental concerns. I think they should be free to vote on where they source their electricity from.
Okay.
And if they want to have multiple options, it should be they should work it per customer. The problem is, like you say, some people would be willing to pay extra for renewables. Some people can't. Some people won't. It's the flexible option. Again, it comes down to cost, reliability, and it basically just added a third option, which is a social construct. But but that should be done preferably on a per customer basis.
Okay. I'd really like to hear from all of you as it relates to renewable energy. What role should it have in the power supplied to your home? And for all of you, do you want would you like solar power supplied to your home? And other green options. Just talk to me about that as it relates to, as you envision your down the road, what role do you see, if any, for renewable energy? Jennifer?
As far as renewable energy, honestly, I probably should care more than what I do. As long as it's reliable to me, I'm not real concerned with it being a renewable source, with it being solar energy. I think at this point in life, in this phase in life, as long as I have reliable service that is of a decent price, then I'm okay.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, number one, as a citizen, I would want the choice. I want to be able to be allowed to use renewable energy and not forced to be attached to the grid. If I wanted to go 100% solar and not have an account and be attached to Appalachia Electric in any way, I want that choice. Because there are some places where you have to be hooked up to the power grid, whether you want to or not, and you pay a monthly minimum bill. So if you can supply your home with solar and not use the power grid, you should be allowed to do that. And I would hope my electric company didn't lobby to force me into a relationship with them, number one. And number two, if the renewable conversation had anything to do with the electric company, I think it's great for electric companies to buy back unused electricity from citizens because it reduces their costs, say purchasing it from the TVA. If they can have that sort of relationship, say I've got a big solar array in my backyard and I make more energy than my home uses, and if Appalachia wants to buy some of that from me, if I can put it back into the grid, I think that would be a good thing. Or even if, and to go a step further, if they wanted to buy energy from their customers and maybe have some sort of a program where you could, buy solar panels from Appalachia at a reasonable rate in order to do that. I think that would be pretty cool. I wouldn't want it to affect everybody's bill in a huge way every month, but if that was something that the electric company could participate in, electricity is electricity. So I think if Appalachia wants to think about something like solar, and they can, make programs and things like that, I think that's a pretty cool thing. I think that's a forward-thinking thing to do.
I do like the idea of them purchasing any solar power, some of the power back from those of us that I'm in the future who have the solar array. We do have a good friend who is over in Hickman County, and they are completely off the grid. It takes a lot of batteries. It takes a lot of maneuvering, but they are completely off the grid, and love the fact that they don't get a bill every month.
Yeah.
The power that's lumped together and what's called renewable, the problem is there are a lot of technological and cost issues that are being masked by regulation and tax subsidies. I have no problem with an individual, even with a company, investigating all the different options, whether it be, again, solar, wind, geothermal, hydrodynamic, nuclear. But what I don't want is, again, I don't want to be forced to make a decision that says you must use this because we know better than you do. And I don't want to pay for somebody else's decision if it's not mine.
I agree with Paul. It needs to be your personal decision. I think the electric co-op's mission is to deliver best power quality and reliability that they can at the most economical price point that they can and serve their community. I should also tell you that one of my outbuildings is no longer connected to Sequatchie Valley, and it runs on solar. But that's a personal choice. It is not an economic decision. If you look at the economics of it, I'm absolutely crazy, but it's something that I wanted to play with, and it's something that I wanted to see if I could make work. But for the commercial scale and for the average person who just wants to come home and turn the lights on, it's not there yet. I don't think that means that we should ignore it. I think, as David said, we should be looking forward, but I don't think it's there yet either.
So you don't think your co-op should start offering those solar or other green options?
Oh, I think that I'd love to see the co-op say, we're going to buy power from Quebec Hydroelectric, and we're going to buy power from the Adirondack Wind Farm. But by the way, it costs you 2.5 cents a kilowatt hour more. But you can feel good about your 2.5 cent kilowatt. But I don't think that we should tell Paul or David or anybody else in this group that, we're going to go do that now, and your bill just went up. I don't think that's an approach.
So I'm hearing that there's support for the energy source. Just want to make sure that everybody, that it is individual decision and individual billing and individual engagement, that it's not, everybody's treated the same, that there's more choice. Is that what I heard?
Yeah, I think choice is very important. I think, to me personally, I would, if they sent me a letter that said, hey, we want to invest in renewable technologies and start incorporating that into our system, would you like to chip in at a tiny amount every month as a way to give back to the community environment yourself, and we'll reinvest that into these renewable technologies? I would consider giving back, a couple bucks a month as a sort of a way to help the community, but I don't think it would be something that they should force Paul to pay for if he didn't want to invest in that himself, for sure. But I would like for them to invest in that sort of thing, but only in ways that don't affect everybody in a negative way financially.
Okay. We're a little past time, and I apologize. So does anyone have any other thoughts as it relates to your relationship with your co-op? Good, bad, anything that we haven't already covered?
I want to say I'm friends with some linemen that work for Appalachia, and they're really hardworking guys, and it's a real dangerous job. And I think Appalachia treats them pretty well, pays them well, and good benefits according to what I'm told by them, and I would hope they would keep that sort of thing up, because without the linemen, we'd be in pretty big trouble in the storm.
Okay. Anybody else anything? Then we're done. I really do appreciate you spending this hour with me and sharing your thoughts. They've been great. Thanks a lot. Take care. Have a good evening.
Thank you.